Witamy w korporacji S&M Unlimited.
Welcome to Pulse of Culture. I'm Karolina Szapland. With us is Wojciech Graniczewski, the director and the author of a new play here in Krakow Opera House. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
So the title of your Christmas show is The New Christmas Carol, To Be or To Have. What's the answer to that question?
Right. When I decided to write a totally new version of the traditional Christmas carol, which was written, well, nearly 200 years ago, I decided to use the contemporary circumstances, so to say, and actually the environment of modern corporation as a setting for the play. And I decided that a musical form would be an ideal form of presentation, because I believe that that question posed by Charles Dickens in the original A Christmas Carol, written, as far as I remember, in 1847, is a timeless question, to have or to be. And that's the reason why I decided to use it in the contemporary situation, because I think nowadays this question is extremely important.
So do you think your audiences, will they be slightly disappointed not to see old Ebenezer Scrooge and all of the Victorian paraphernalia? Or will they be excited to see all the corporate world on a stage?
Well, I think using the traditional setting would be a little bit of a repetition, because you know, it has been filmed, it has been shown in a musical form throughout the years, and it wouldn't really make much sense to use the the form of a fairy tale, because that's the way it would be read today. And I wanted to show that these problems that are presented there in this sort of traditional morality play are still a serious moral issue. So I thought the new contemporary version would be much more up to date.
And there are some big departures from the original story. For instance, the story takes place actually on Christmas Eve, Polish Wigilia. Why that choice?
Well, that's because the original setting for Dickens' play was exactly the same. So I thought the plot would be similar, but the characters and the situations and also the songs, which close every part of the play, would be in a newer version, in a newer form, which, as I have noticed, and which makes me very happy, is appreciated by the audience.
And of course, Wigilia is more special to Poles, I guess, than the first day of Christmas traditionally.
Well, actually, the traditional way Christmas Eve was celebrated was more similar than it is today in different countries. The time when Dickens wrote the novella, it was the time when the contemporary traditions and customs were developing and spreading, and also when Christmas carols, which are known internationally, were written, such as Silent Night, and which exists in every language, and so on. As I said, it was a kind of morality play, if I may use this very sort of antiquated word for that, because it poses the essential question.
And I've noticed one of the ways you've made your play more modern was to include in your morality tale sort of the evil figure of the politician. What's your take on that?
Well, I don't want to talk about the obvious things, such as how our world nowadays is functioning. Politics, banking, ambiguous legal matters, and so on and so forth. That's our reality. So that's why I decided to use the same or a similar situation and a similar sort of constellation of characters, but in the contemporary world.
And starting the play, the opening number talks about the evils of AI, and how do you square that with the Victorian world? Is that similar?
In a way, it is similar, because the Victorian era, because it was a long period, from the middle up to the end of the 19th century, it was the time of immense industrialization of Europe. Of course, this referred to the UK, but the social situation then was extremely hard for the population, because before that, the British populace was mostly rural. With the Industrial Revolution, more and more people starting moving to the cities. The cities kept growing. This is the time when first factories, which mass-produced certain goods, were developed, and first corporations, in fact, were formed. Because in those days, the UK was, or the British Commonwealth, was a global institution, like some multinational companies nowadays that exist everywhere and that rule the world. So there are many similarities, I would say, because it was such a huge, a stormy change, I would say, in the world of the time. And I think now we are living in another stormy change where the high-tech development is sort of changing our society. Some professions are disappearing, new professions are being born. There's a lot of frustration about it.
Hence the beginning of your play with the really frustrated workers.
Right, exactly.
But the end of the play kind of turns the end of the Dickens Christmas Carol on its head. Without giving any plot spoilers, it's a big change for Ebenezer Scrooge, but he's doing something really dramatic with his life and with his company. Can you explain that choice?
Well, the original Christmas Carol is not only about an old miser. It's also about hope for change. It gives hope for everyone who has a problem in life that a change is possible, and that's why this happy ending actually presents the situation.
There must be a happy ending in a Christmas story.
Absolutely, and as I said, this timeless question was analyzed by really serious figures in philosophy, in psychoanalysis, such as Erich Fromm, for instance, who wrote his book To Have or To Be, in which he presented the growing modern world, worrying about the proportion of those two aspects of life. And unfortunately, these problems have not disappeared. They are even, I think they are even more common in our world.
And you package those timeless, big, deep philosophical questions in a form of would you say, is it a musical? Is it an operetta? How would you describe the musical?
A musical. Yeah, it's a musical. I mean, definitely we needed a form which would be easy to accept and absorb by all generations. It's not for children, it's not for adults, it's for family. I hoped very much, and I think it is functioning in this way, that it's a good pretext for family members of different generations to go together to the musical theatre, to see the show, and then to have a good topic to discuss.
Well, sitting in the audience, I did hear children gasping when the lights went on or the fake snow. So you've definitely achieved that. But what about the musical side of the show? Could you tell us a bit more about the composer, who's really well known to the Polish audience?
Yes, Andrzej Zarycki, that is our composer's name, is a big name for my generation, but also for the people who are interested in ambitious Polish music, which was created for Ewa Demarczyk. She was a singer who had her big time singing around Europe, and suddenly her career ended for some personal reasons. But in those days it was really very special. So it's a myth. She's a myth, and the band whose leader was Andrzej Zawadzki is also a legend nowadays. But he's a fully qualified composer, writing for the orchestra, and he's written a lot of, excellent film music and music for the theatre, for the famous Stary Theatre, the old theatre of Krakow, and so on. And I've done a few pieces together with him before, so it was a suggestion that he should write the music. And we got some support from the Ministry of Culture and National Heritage. Apart from the fact that we've done some work before, we are close friends, and so I thought it would be nice to do it with somebody who really understands what I want to do. And this, synergy of music and the new text that I've written was our main aim when we worked, and I think it's working now.
Well, it is certainly working, and within that synergy we also have the actors, and one of the quite extraordinary thing to witness on a Polish stage is to see how mature was the performance of the young actor. So how did you lead that actor? That's quite unusual.
Well, I've done some work with children before as well. During the first week of our work, we tried to practice some of the essentials of acting, and we did some work on how to discover the truth on the stage. It was quite special, and he's a really nice
remarkable
young actor,
yeah,
I would say.
remarkable, fresh. And one of the terms that was used in your songs was empathy, not present in Charles Dickens' original tale. Why empathy? Apart from the fact in Polish it rhymes really well with other words. Why empathy for Christmas?
I mean, isn't Christmas about empathy? I think it is.
And presents?
Yes, I think it is. I don't want to go into politics, but in many countries we have a sort of divided society, even within the families. And this is much due to the fact that there is not enough empathy and there is not enough patience to listen to others, to understand what they mean, to convince them instead of negating, their point of view. So I think this is what we need, to find a moment when we can just, look at others, ask ourselves questions, why they, are not the same as we are, accept them, and without empathy it's not possible. So empathy is the first step towards tolerance, I would say. And that's also about tolerance.
And, technical question, but I think the one that a little bit of the play that really amused the audience in Poland fairly recently, was it the last week, when the law was changed that Christmas Eve, or Polish Wigilia, will be a day free of work. And I would imagine you started working on your play some time ago. And can you explain how that clever little twist added to make your play current?
Well, we improvised a little bit during the rehearsals, and as everything that we were doing in a way referred to our contemporary society and our surroundings, then it was just an idea that perhaps we should include something which is a dilemma referring to the same kind of dilemma of having and being, because as you know, the discussion about it is about how much are we going to lose, money-wise, if this working day is not working anymore,
that is
and how much are we going to gain spiritually if we have a quiet day, devoted to our families and non-materialistic matters.
Well,
so it's just, up to the point.
Up to the point, as the whole play is. Thank you so much for talking to us.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me.
From Opera House in Krakow, this was Pulse of Culture, and I'm Karolina Shapland. Thank you for watching.